Welcome to the History 101 channel. Today we will discuss the unveiling Dajjal, the Antichrist in biblical and Islamic eschatology and Jewish belief. The concept of the Antichrist. The concept of the Antichrist, known as Dajjal in Islam, has captured the imagination of believers and scholars alike for centuries. Across religious traditions, the Antichrist, Dajjal, is depicted as a figure of great power and deception, whose arrival heralds the culmination of history and the onset of the end times. This documentary seeks to unravel the myths and legends surrounding the Antichrist, Dajjal, exploring its origins, characteristics, and significance in the eschatological beliefs of Christianity and Islam. The Antichrist in biblical tradition. Biblical prophecies. The roots of the Antichrist can be traced back to ancient Jewish apocalyptic literature, where the figure of the adversary first emerges as a symbol of cosmic evil and opposition to divine authority. In the book of Daniel, the prophet foretells the rise of a powerful ruler who will persecute the people of God and desecrate the sanctuary, ushering in a time of great tribulation. This figure, known as the Little Horn, or Man of Sin, serves as a precursor to the Antichrist described in the New Testament. The Antichrist in the New Testament. In the New Testament, particularly in the writings of John the Apostle, the figure of the Antichrist takes on new dimensions of malevolence and deception. Described as a deceiver and false messiah who denies the divinity of Christ, the Antichrist is portrayed as a charismatic leader who will deceive many with his signs and wonders. In the book of Revelation, John envisions a final showdown between the forces of light and darkness, culminating in the defeat of the Antichrist and the establishment of God's kingdom on earth. Dajjal in Islamic tradition. Dajjal in the Quran and Hadith. In Islamic eschatology, the figure of Dajjal is prominently featured in the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as recorded in the Quran and Hadith. Dajjal is described as a false messiah who will emerge in the last days to deceive humanity with his extraordinary powers and miracles. Belief in Dajjal's imminent appearance serves as a reminder of the transient nature of worldly temptations and the importance of remaining steadfast in faith. The deception of Dajjal. Dajjal's arrival will be marked by widespread chaos, confusion, and moral decay, as he seeks to subjugate humanity under his rule of tyranny and oppression. With his one eye symbolizing spiritual blindness and his claims of divinity, Dajjal will deceive many into following him, leading them away from the path of righteousness and into eternal damnation. Only those with true faith and moral integrity will be able to resist his temptations and recognize him for the impostor that he is. Characteristics and deception of Dajjal. The characteristics of Dajjal is described in Islamic tradition as a figure of unparalleled deception and malevolence. Possessing supernatural abilities, including the power to perform miracles and manipulate perception, Dajjal will seek to deceive humanity into following him as a divine figure. His name, which means deceiver or impostor, reflects his role as a master of illusion and deceit, capable of leading astray all but the most steadfast believers. Dajjal's domain. According to Islamic tradition, Dajjal will emerge from the east and travel across the earth, spreading his deception and chaos wherever he goes. He will possess great wealth and military power, using them to subjugate and oppress those who refuse to bow to his authority. Dajjal's domain will be marked by injustice, corruption, and moral decadence, as he seeks to establish his reign of darkness over the earth. Signs of the end times. Signs preceding the arrival of Dajjal. Islamic eschatology foretells a series of signs and portents that will precede the arrival of Dajjal, signaling the onset of the end times. These signs include moral decay, societal upheaval, and natural disasters, all of which are seen as manifestations of the spiritual turmoil that will precede Dajjal's appearance. Believers are urged to remain vigilant and steadfast in their faith, as these tumultuous events serve as a test of their commitment to truth and righteousness. Confronting Dajjal. The ultimate confrontation in Islamic tradition. The ultimate confrontation between good and evil will culminate in the arrival of the Mahdi, a messianic figure who will lead the righteous in a final battle against Dajjal and his forces of darkness. Accompanied by Jesus, peace be upon him, who will descend from heaven to aid the believers, the Mahdi will ultimately triumph over Dajjal, ushering in an era of peace and justice known as the Day of Judgment. Dajjal concept in Jewish tradition. Dajjal in Jewish apocalyptic literature. In addition to Islamic and Christian traditions, the concept of the Antichrist has parallels in Jewish eschatology. While the term Antichrist is not explicitly used in Jewish scriptures, there are references to a figure known as Armilus or Armilos in Jewish apocalyptic literature. Armilus is depicted as a tyrannical ruler who will arise in the end times, persecuting the righteous and leading the forces of evil against the forces of good. The Jewish expectation of the Messiah. The Jewish expectation of the Messiah differs from the Christian and Islamic views of the Antichrist, Dajjal. In Jewish tradition, the Messiah is seen as a righteous king who will usher in an era of peace and prosperity, rather than a figure of deception and malevolence. However, some Jewish texts do contain references to a figure known as Armalus ben Satan, who bears similarities to the Antichrist, Dajjal, and is expected to appear in the end times. Dajjal and the significance of Beit al-Maqdis. Beit al-Maqdis in Islamic prophecy. Beit al-Maqdis, or the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, holds special significance in Islamic eschatology as the site from which the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, ascended to the heavens during a night journey. According to Islamic tradition, Beit al-Maqdis will play a central role in the events leading up to the end times, including the arrival of Dajjal and the return of Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. The role of Beit al-Maqdis in Dajjal's narrative. In Islamic tradition, it is believed that Dajjal will lay siege to Beit al-Maqdis and establish his headquarters there during his reign of deception. The significance of Beit al-Maqdis in the Dajjal narrative highlights the spiritual and geopolitical importance of Jerusalem in Islamic eschatology, as well as the enduring struggle for control over the holy city. The end of days. The figure of Dajjal serves as a powerful symbol of spiritual struggle and redemption in Islamic eschatology, reminding believers of the eternal battle between good and evil that rages within the human soul. By confronting the challenges posed by Dajjal with faith, courage, and steadfastness, believers can overcome the trials of the end times and attain salvation in the hereafter.